Well, the last time we talked to Tom Hanks, he was about to jump into a volcano. This time you're stoking a bonfire. What is this? Is this a fire motif?
Yeah. No, it's just words, movies with four-letter titles that the last word begins with V. It's a new thing I'm trying to.
There you go.
Bonfire of the Vanities.
And unfortunately, you're one of the combustible elements. You put off a pretty good blaze yourself.
Well, there you go.
What is happening to your character? What is happening to this guy?
Well, he's regaining his soul is what's happening to him, and he doesn't realize it. He thinks his world is falling apart, and indeed it is.
So it's a painful process.
As the good ones always are. What is happening to him is exactly what needs to happen to him if he is going to take his rightful place as a human being on God's green earth. At the beginning of this film, I think, the story, Sherman McCoy is operating on fumes as far as his moral fiber goes. He has very low morality. He's got empty heart and shallow soul.
Dry tinder.
Well, there you go. Yeah, up in a blaze very quickly. And he loses it all, but it's the best possible thing that could happen to him.
You speak with a lot of conviction. Is this...
I've
Good heavens,
thought
not a
about it.
hesitation at all here.
I've thought about it, John.
I'm wondering if the life of an actor does not provide a kind of an unusual opportunity to savor the haves, the have-nots.
Well, yeah, I mean, what our job is, I think, as an actor, those of us who like to think about this kind of thing, is we have to be able to, as Shakespeare said, or who was it, Shakespeare, to hold the mirror up to nature. And if we don't do that...
Aristotle.
Aristotle said that? Well, Shakespeare stole it from him, okay? That's funny. Well, who said we have fear the fear itself? Never mind. That's neither here.
Right.
But I think that we have to look at the world in a very pragmatic and sort of unflinching manner. And we don't always get to do that in a lot of roles, but I was able to do it, I think, with Sherman McCoy.
The moments in the film that certainly are the strongest, I think, in spite of all the glitz, the camera work, the lighting, the wide-angle lenses, etc., are just simple shots of your face looking stricken.
Yeah.
I mean...
Deer in the headlights, kind of. I'm going to get run over.
The deer in the headlights, that's a great analogy.
That was the image, yeah.
Now, what goes into the coaching of such a scene? Tom looks stricken? Or
No. Brian just yells at me for 15 minutes before we shoot the scene. No, I mean, we talk about this, but mostly we rehearse this at great length, but it's still, I think, the power of two things. The source material that Wolfe put down on paper. I mean, the real star of this story is Wolfe's prose. Unfortunately, we can't capture that, much of it, on film. So, but those images are very, very strong. So when it's talking about Sherman turning around and seeing those guys come at him from behind the car, or him being dragged through the mob of the press, or him looking down as the handcuffs are being slapped on his wrists, and that's powerful stuff on the big, thick book paper and also on the thinner screenplay paper.
the fact that people will be empathizing and pulling for you at moments like that's a nice switcheroo on us, because you're painted as a fairly reprehensible character.
Well, I think, yes, he is reprehensible, but I think at the same time his faults are very, very evident. I don't think anybody has to look too deep to see that this guy is missing something from his life. And I think that's what makes it possible for him to be redeemed, I think, in the eyes of the audience later on. It's what I felt in the course of reading the book for the very first time.
Now, there's a lot out about the choice of you in the role is because of the comedic timing as much as anything. When are you going to be chosen for a role because of your dramatic abilities?
I would hope that I would be chosen for all my roles because of my dramatic abilities. I don't know.
I mean, it's a way in which anybody is regarded, isn't it, ultimately?
Well, I think in this case, they're looking for someone who can deliver a certain brand of goods. But, at the same time, Sherman does not do anything that is overtly comic. Yes, he is funny, what happens to him. But he doesn't do any sort of dance on a thing, or, he doesn't swallow anything and spit it out, or smell bad, whatever. he just reacts to what happens to them. And I think that's acting. That's not comedy. That's acting. That's something totally different.
Finally, Tom Wolfe always comes up with a phrase or a tag that's memorable, and maybe you can tell me then, just what is a master of the universe?
Master of the universe is king and controller of all he surveys. And
Conviction again.
And how many people are actually king and controller of all they survey?
So a bit of an irony there.
There you go. That's a little thought to take home.
Yeah. Tom Hanks is combustible material in this Bonfire of the Vanities. He and I are here in Hollywood. I'm John Tibbetts for KCTV5.